This is Good Morning Mumbai with Rishi K.
Like I told you guys yesterday on the show before signing off, and if you're on social networking, as you've read on our Facebook page, it's time for Square Feet, India's only realty property show on the radio space. And I'm very pleased to welcome Mukund Sheshadri. Mukund heads MS Ventures Financial Planners, and wonderful to have him in studio. Hi, how are you?
Very good, Rishikesh.
I've got to say this, we've, ever since the demonetization drive started, with the elaborate announcements by the RBI as well as the Prime Minister, we've had Faye D'Souza talking about the implication it will have on markets, Faye from ET Now and Magic Bricks Now. Subsequently had a few bankers talking about the banking system, but we never concentrated on the effect on real estate. And I'm so glad that you agreed immediately to come on. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Let's start with this, with what we think would be a price fall. Your thoughts on that?
So there's a lot of messages going on the social media and all that. There's going to be a real estate crash, and there's going to be a big fall. Yes, in the short term there would be some kind of a correction, because the cash economy is really taken on a standstill. So a lot of liquidity is out of the market. But however, what would eventually happen is, with so much of money coming back to the banking system, the interest rates will actually start falling down. So all those people who are in the borderline saying, should I take a flat, should I not buy a flat, would eventually be able to start affording this. So in the short term, yes, there will be a correction, but over a period of time, when these people, these genuine buyers, who are not the investors, who are the final end users, will start getting into real estate, the prices will start moderating. So it is not that it is going to be a sector which we should not look at all. It is going to be something where it will have correction, and only thing, this maddening amount of price which had started going up, that would stabilize to an extent. So it will have its pros and cons, but it will take some time for this to stabilize.
I mean, there is no discounting the fact that there was a cash dealing of 30 to 40%.
Absolutely.
So we're talking a substantial impact here. But as long as, the end of the day, it does even out, I don't think Indians we would mind. The interest rate decline.
Yeah.
Let's spend a little time on that, please.
Right. Yeah. So what exactly happens is, the banking system would have so much of money into the system, and so when so much of money obviously comes into the system, they will the cost of loan which the bank is actually giving comes down drastically.
Sure.
So automatically there is a lot of interest rate which declines. So when I'm saying interest rate decline, what I'm trying to say is the home loan interest rates will start coming downwards. So which will help a lot of people, have a comfortable EMI. So because of which, we interact with clients. So a lot of people say that, I wanted to buy a house in this place, but I'm not able to afford because it's just stretching out of their budget. All those people in borderline, as I said, will start getting a lot of comfort with the entire process of EMI. And because of which, what would happen eventually is that they would be able to purchase those houses which they had dreamt of, or probably not very sure whether they would be able to do it. So we see a drastic improvement in terms of that. Automatically, even your fixed deposit rates and also would be coming down. But in the process, what happens is loans will become cheaper, and that is what will help the economy boom as well.
Fantastic. Mukund Sheshadri shall continue on Square Feet. You don't want to go anywhere. Ask questions. One space your query name to 53650. 53650 being the in-studio SMS line. At HRISHIKAY on Twitter. Tweet out the question. Facebook.com/radio1.mum is our official page. You can, most liked Facebook page across all radio stations in Mumbai City. You like that page, you could post the question on the timeline or inbox. And there's also HRISHIKAY, the Facebook page, where again you could leave questions, comments, and I'll bring them up. Tasman Archer, Sleeping Satellite, right after this song. More Mukund Sheshadri. Sleeping Satellite, Tasman Archer, Mukund Sheshadri here in an engaging discussion on Square Feet, India's only realty property show on the radio space, 9:22, absolutely live. Now, you made some very interesting observations about price fall and interest rate decline as far as housing finance and home loans are concerned. Let's talk about rental yields now. And obviously, we have the West as a precedent. Yeah. Are we going to start seeing those numbers here?
Well, I'll first explain what rental yield actually is.
Yeah.
So when we say that, there is a property which is worth maybe 1 crore, and you get a rent of about maybe 20,000 a month. So then in a year you make about 2.4 lakhs. So at the rental yield is basically the rate of rent received on the property price. So that comes to about 2.5-3%, which is what is the case across the country. What would eventually happen is, since the prices start correcting, we don't see much of fall in the rentals which would happen. So in the process, the yield which you generate out of the rental income will start going up. So I remember about 10-15 years back, a lot of these home loan companies would advertise saying, why pay a rent when you can pay an EMI and own a property? Because the difference wasn't much when it came to rental and EMI, and then it started just going up. So in a property which was probably worth, a crore, and if you have to take a loan of a crore, you almost end up paying an EMI of 1 lakh of rupees, while the rentals are hardly about 20,000. So there was a huge gap. Now this will start coming down. Now what will happen in the process because of this is, going ahead you will probably see a scenario where these real estate or these flats will actually start funding a decent amount of a EMI. So I am not saying it will happen overnight. So abroad, obviously, as you rightly said, the trend is very similar, because we have seen cases where the EMI is either equivalent to the rental or probably slightly even lesser. So that it funds the property by itself. But this is going to take some time, but we foresee that the difference would come down drastically. So which is very good, because if you were actually nowadays, what would happen, or we would interact with customers or investors and they would just say that the rentals are falling, or it's quite less. But going ahead in the purchase of property, so as I said, maybe over a period of time, when you actually buy a property, then you would be able to get a decent amount of rent on that compared to the price you pay for the property. And a lot of these things where property would start giving you a yield which looks little decent compared to the cost of investment would start actually materializing in the near future.
And in any case, the scenario that you have painted, which is actually really factual, rooted, is that housing is going to become affordable eventually. The middle class will be able to afford better houses. Absolutely. That is the thought.
Absolutely. So a lot of, we see a lot of places where, we saw the entire buildings, almost vacant because they were investors' flat, and there were people who wanted to actually stay in those houses, which couldn't happen. So that we can see now as probably a possibility. So the person's dream to have an house, which looked a far-fetched dream some time back, now looks quite achievable. So I think this is very, very this is a move which probably can have a major impact on the major middle class section, who always had this dream of owning the house. And I think with the rental yields and the interest rates coming down and the prices correcting over a period of time, this sector will look a little attractive in terms of more stability in this sector and a lot of clarity. The ambiguity is slowly going out.
Okay, the first couple of questions have started rolling in on Twitter. Not Roger Ebert is the Twitter handle. Nice one. Non-activist. Interest is a smaller issue than inflated property prices. Right. 2 crores for a postage stamp sized flat in obscure suburbs. Will the prices eventually drop?
Yeah. So yes, it will come down. It will stabilize, as I said initially, because so much of cash component which was being used in the property was actually taking these prices up. So once that comes in, yes, it will start correcting to an extent, but it is going to take some time to happen. So there will be a lot of volatility in the short run. And there'll be obviously real estate, we will be talking about it eventually, is also a very, very emotional decision.
It is.
So, so the prices at certain places would correct, certain places would correct lesser. So that is going to be an average out. But yes, so it was very well put that, 2 crores for a postage kind of a property. Yes. So, yeah. So we would probably end up seeing a far better rates and lesser pain in terms of what we are trying to actually look at.
Prashant Pant, Mukund, will land deals which have a sizable cash component be affected as well?
It will, because when there is so much of scarcity of cash, then automatically land deals will also start becoming a far easier option, a far cleaner option, rather, I would say that. And there will be a price correction even in that particular sector.
Okay, Mukund is from MS Ventures Financial Planners. If you want to get in touch with him, it's www.msvfp.com. That's msvfp.com. And are you on Facebook and Twitter? Yeah. What are you on Facebook. Twitter and Facebook?
Twitter, it is Mukund Seshadri.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Facebook as well.
Facebook is Mukund Seshadri.
So that's MUKUND SESHADRI.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Mike and the Mechanics, another cup of coffee after this, some messages, and back with Mukund Seshadri on Square Feet, India's only realty property show on the radio space.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Rishi K.
Welcome back to Square Feet, India's only property real estate show on the radio space. Mukund Seshadri from MS Ventures Financial Planners talking about the effects and repercussions of demonetization on the real estate industry. Okay, infrastructure projects. Let's talk about that and let's lead into RERA therein.
Yeah. So one of the big advantages, what at least what we're getting to know from our government, is that a lot of money would get spent in the infrastructure, development of the country. Now, how does this help? Now, if this happens, what will happen is the city or a lot of places will get very connected. Now, in the process, what happens is that there are some places in the real estate spaces where, there aren't much of amenities, reaching that place is difficult. So the prices are very low. And at the other side, things which are supposedly to be in a very easily accessible place, the prices actually, go up or boomerang. So what would eventually happen because of this, the cash going out of the economy, money coming into the banking system, infrastructure projects developing, is that this price variance or this difference in price would actually start coming down. So, it won't be, there would be a difference, obviously. There would be some areas which, have an inelastic demand. But end of the day, what would happen is there will be a lot of, so it will not be that I just cannot even look at that place. It's just out of my margin. So that price variation would start slowly cascading down. And places where infrastructure develops will slowly go up. And things where infrastructure is already developed might not rise to that much extent. So that would actually lead to a lot of benefit for people, because nowadays what would happen is somebody wants to shift maybe from something like Mulund side or something in Bombay to maybe Bandra or an Andheri side. So then sometimes the price variation is very high. So this would reduce to a great extent, but it will come over a period of time.
Will RERA make it more standardized? I mean, I'm not saying in the immediate, but I'm saying if we give ourselves a 3-year window, for example.
Right. See, RERA is one of the very good initiatives by the government, because what would happen is genuine builders or genuine, people who are actually into this business for long would actually, would really benefit from this. Eventually, as I said, the number of flats or the, the residential accommodations or commercial which would be purchased would be more from the end user perspective. So here we are seeing a very beautiful scenario. So one way is that, the person who's a seller would eventually become very regulated, who will be very serious on doing his business and adhering to his commitments. So I again repeat, adhering to his commitments. And the person who's actually buying the house from him or buying the property from him would be a person who's actually wanting to stay there or do business, or he would be the end user in the process. So what it helps actually is that the entire industry per se would benefit over a period of time, and the individual who is to always get scared, real estate, he used to think twice whether I would get my property in time, what would happen, what would not happen. Those doubts will actually reduce. Actually, what will eventually happen, it'll take some time, as I said, the trust in this particular sector would start going up. And people would no longer be so scared or so worried when they are actually doing a property deal, which is currently the situation. So people say, okay, doing a fixed deposit is not an issue, investing in mutual funds, okay, we have very good regulatory authorities, so all that is there. This, along with the system of cash going out of it and everything stabilizing, would eventually help this sector go up, really benefit people in the long run.
Wonderful. More Mukund Seshadri right after this. It's Search for the Hero by M People, 9:46. M People Search for the Hero at 9:50. Last leg of conversation. Mukund Seshadri from MS Financial Ventures. And here he is talking about the effect and repercussions of demonetization on the real estate business. Okay, now we all know that money is always an emotional decision as far as we Indians are concerned.
Right.
Let's talk about that, and the fact that you're likely to see money in going into financial assets and more liquid assets, so to say.
Right.
So cover that before we say bye.
Well, as you rightly said, I'll take on the second point first. So there would be more and more money coming into financial and liquid assets like, equities, mutual funds, maybe to an extent fixed deposits, but the interest rates have to be seen. So because a lot of money was actually getting parked in, as you call, non-financial assets like, gold and real estates and all that. One of the main reasons was also people would, purchase it because of the appreciation and various other reasons why they would buy that. Now, because of this, what would happen is the financial markets would actually start booming up. When the financial market starts booming up, automatically the effect of that will start reflecting in the economy. And we would see a lot more, hopefully we would go ahead and see a lot more employment and, a lot of money flow which will start coming into people who actually deserve it. So that will really, lead to a lot of money going into other assets. Having said that, as you rightly said, we are very, very emotional, and real estate comes with a huge emotional bank, right? So the place I want to buy, the vastu about it, and where, how accessible it is, how relatives are close by. So all that thing comes. So all these a lot of rumors saying now people are just going to stop buying. I don't think that would happen. It will come down definitely because there will be an allocation and it will have its share in the market. But what will eventually happen is whenever we see a family and once we talk to or interact with a family, generally most of the real estate decisions have a lot of emotional bank. So that is one of the main reasons why we still see that people would buy this particular asset, and we are emotional about every asset class. So especially in the equity market, sometimes we see you buy a stock and you get married to it. and when the market falls and it doesn't recover, then when you interact with that investor, he says, oh, it's a long-term investment. So we have a lot of this. So people come and say, I don't want to break this FD, I don't want to do XYZ, though this asset is not performing well, let it be. This is from my first salary. So we are very emotional by nature, and real estate, yes, is a huge emotional bank. So I think people will still keep buying it. So it's not that it's not going to happen. Only thing is probably the allocation would come down to an extent, and allocation in other sectors would start going up. So I'm quite positive about this sector, not just about the appreciation, but about the normancy, as well as the fact that this particular sector, people would start restoring their faith over a period of time. So what has happened in the short run could have a lot of pain for builders or for people, but eventually I think this is a good move. And I hope and I pray that things get implemented correctly, so that all these things actually benefit the common man, who's the end user and who actually deserves to be benefited.
And even with redevelopment, there will be a temporary stalling or slowdown, but eventually you'll see a coming back to normalcy.
Yeah, so that would happen. So some because there's a lot of confusion right now. So I think once that is sorted out, those things will also pick up.
Great fun chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see you back on Square Feet soon. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you.
Robin, show me love. It's 9:54. My name is Rishi K.